Welcome to the den, the Dingus Den.
Welcome to the Dingus Den for a brand new episode of the Comic Club, where we're here to talk about a brand new comic that just came out, My Adventures with Superman, Issue 1, and I'm joined here by fellow Red Shirt, Chris. How are you doing?
I am doing well. How are you?
Been doing good. Just looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah,
we
this
are
is cool.
we are both fans of the show. My
Yes.
Adventures with Superman Season 2 is going on now, and DC's now having this comic. I don't know. I assume it would be a miniseries. That is a miniseries. I don't know exactly how long it is, but the first issue just came out, and since we're both fans of the show, we're like, let's check this out. And so we're here to talk about it, and yeah, it's gonna be good. So,
Yes.
but yeah, so this comic is set in between the two seasons, and I definitely think it was a good one, I think, but we'll
Yes.
get into that more. Do you have much you want to say before we get into it?
Not really. I think we just
so.
need to,
I think
to
so.
get into it.
Absolutely. Anyway, well, let's give credit where credit's due here first before we get into the story. Written by Josie Campbell, art by Pablo M. Collar, and colors by Nick Filardi. And I'll say that art. Oh my god, the art definitely stood out to me in this.
It pops.
It
definitely
pops. It very much keeps the feel of the show, and so
Yes.
good shout out to everyone involved there. But without further ado, let's get into this first issue here of My Adventures with Superman. Issue 1.
The ones who fell to Earth.
Exactly. Anyway, it begins with the Superman monologue, where in this monologue he's talking about how snow compels people to act differently, but also changes everything. Like, once snow builds up, all of a sudden it turns big, and then he relates it very much as to what's happening in Metropolis and the fallout of what happened from the first season of the show. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But it does show the remnants of what happened there in the first season. And so, but, he's also hoping, City of Metropolis, going through all this stuff, Superman just wants Metropolis just have a break, But obviously that's not happening. Crime never sleeps. Anyway, cut to the Daily Planet, where Clark Kent reveals that this is going to be his first Christmas where he's away from the farm. And so we see him struggle a little bit with that. We also see sort of the other, co-workers there, sort of like a couple of them making fun of him. One of them actually seems to try to help distract him there. But they were specifically told by Lois and Jimmy Lois specifically, to try to help distract him. Why?
Yeah.
Because we cut to see Lois and Jimmy start to plan this Christmas to be very special for Clark, because, they're the best friends, they're like the Three Musketeers, so, anyway.
Sound like Jimmy.
Hey, maybe if I worked at the Daily Planet there, maybe that'd be my role there. It'd be the
There
Jimmy.
you go.
So
You'd be the Jimmy.
I'll be the Jimmy. I'll take it. Anyway,
Flamebird.
Flamebird. That was funny. Anyway, while they're planning, though, all of a sudden this rumble occurs. The Daily Planet's just rumbling there. Clark is able to escape, suit up, don his, I love the Superman suit that they have here. It's a great blend of anime, I think, with what Superman's about. And so, anyway, he suits up and sees that, the Daily Planet is on the verge of collapse, and also, so he helps stabilize the building, but also, says that there's a weird handprint on there, as well as leading a melted path in the snow. So, Superman follows, joined by Lois and Jimmy. They follow the path into the sewer, where all of a sudden, someone in this green and purple armor just attacks Superman. So there's this big battle that they do in the streets of Metropolis there, out for the sewer, and just art here is gorgeous too. Great job here, showing this fight here, I think. And so, and this enemy is sort of like a mix of like Ivo and Parasite kind of Superman mentions as well. He's trying to figure out exactly what it is. The enemy is like also is trying to talk, but like can't do it well. He's just trying to talk there, and but he can't. He's like Su sa.
Yeah, it was weird. He thought it was a different language. If he's like, I can't understand you.
I can't understand you. Why can't I understand you? And so, but yeah, and so anyway, it is revealed that it's a robot of sorts. After he's like, unmask yourself, and then it's a robot thing, right? And so anyway, they continue the battle. We see the robot is like adapting, learning Superman's moves too. You have this great picture of like the two fists coming together, and at one point he's also holding Superman's hand there. I was like, oh, okay. But then Superman then figures out how to get back to him, and just before his final blow, we see it speak, saying, "Please, Superman, save me." So all of a sudden, then, the robot gets shot out of the sky by none other than Robert Du Bois. Who's that? A.K.A. Bloodsport. Here he says that it's a robot mech suit prototype. And also during this part, too, it's showing that Deathstroke is watching them. Of where he then reveals that it's Checkmate trying to phase them out. And so the issue then ends here with Du Bois taking back their suit and Superman saying, "I think I've made a mistake." End of issue there.
End of issue.
End of issue. Well, yeah, so, right off the bat, it deals directly with the fallout of season 1, like we were just talking about. And with where it goes, you definitely very much get the feels of like what season 1's about. And at the same time, too, I think this story could also potentially help lead into what's going on with season 2. Because we're getting a lot more of like task force X stuff with like Deathstroke there. And so it's interesting to see how we'll get into it at the end here with the checkpoint. Checkmate there. But overall, what'd you think of it?
I really love the feel of it. Again, like you said, it kept the feel of the show very well, so that made it really easy to read. The fact that enjoying the show means you're going to enjoy the comic as well. I do want to point out also at the beginning we were talking about the quote co-workers. One of those co-workers is Steve Lombard, who's gonna in the movie coming up is gonna just been cast. The guy from SNL, last name is Beckett, I think his name is. And then Cat Grant is the blonde, which I'm sure we'll eventually get a casting of, for James Gunn's Superman. And then I don't know who the other coworker is, someone who I think they've maybe created for the show.
I mean, there's been a lot of people in the comics. I just don't know their names.
But the other two are specifics, big characters from the comics. So definitely cool that they included those two characters as well. I like that. I really like the way it cut to scenes of season 1 as well. In certain parts where it had the different panels, like the one showing his father and the thing from Krypton, and then also the scene where I like it when they're in the sewer and he's like someone to help you, and it cuts to the picture of the father pointing the gun at Superman and Lois stepping in the way. So really, I like the callbacks. I really did like the callbacks to it, to everything. It was it ended well. The fight was really good, and then the way it kind of left you hanging with what's going on here, it was definitely so from beginning to end it had a great kind of arc that really kept you interested and kept you reading. Again, we both said, wow, that went quick.
Yeah, looking back at it too, I realized too that like so much of it is also just the fight.
Yes,
they do a great job with depicting this fight between Superman and whatever this sort of mech suit thing is, right? And so and it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see where all this goes. Like I said, with us being big fans of the show, it's cool to see more of that story and them to explore possible avenues that I wonder too of. If this story was maybe going to be at the show at one point, that they're like, well, plans got scrapped or, can't fit it in, because it very obviously it definitely deals with stuff that is close to the show, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a tie-in. It's not a standalone story.
Right.
And well, it's interesting. It kind of ties into what we talked about last night with both Furiosa and Rogue One. We know where that's leading because season 2 has already started, so we know where it could possibly, this mini series could possibly end. The question is it going to end right before the start of season 2, or is it going to end and then there's going to be another gap and then season 2? So that'll be interesting to see.
I mean, that's the thing, too, is there's a gap that I don't know if we know how big it is. If anybody knows, let us know. But also, depending on how big that gap is, could that mean there would be more future tie-in stuff, So it just depends.
Yeah.
But you're right, we'll see where this ends with it leading into season 2 there. And, yeah, no, but what I find interesting here, too, is that I like that they include the character that still is, I feel like, overall a smaller character, but still cool to see the inclusion here is a Bloodsport, though. Somebody that very much still fits the whole vibe of what they're doing with my adventures with Superman, and so having that character here, being a competitor to Task Force X here with Deathstroke here, so it'll be cool that we could actually see them go against each other later on in this. I think would be awesome. Have the two sort of squads there, task forces, whatever you want to call them, go against each other. So I think that'll be really cool to see.
I think it's good that they're including Bloodsport, because he's also fresh in people's minds from the Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, that's something else too. Is like it's one of those things where the moment I looked at him before seeing the name, I was like, "Is that Bloodsport?" Because we already knew Deathstroke was a thing, and he has the same colors, so it's like, is this Bloodsport? And so that's interesting on them because something else that I find interesting about the show, and you can see it with the one shot of Deathstroke that we do see, though, is like that design of Deathstroke. If you didn't tell me it was Deathstroke, I wouldn't know it's Deathstroke.
No, yeah, that's weird design for Deathstroke.
But this version of Bloodsport, though, it's like you can tell it's Bloodsport.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I like it.
I think this whole Task Force X checkmate battle could be very interesting because it'll be a good like triangle kind of.
Yeah, it'll be. It's
between Superman and the other two organizations, and some other weird things that who knows what we'll see. I mean, you saw a character in the trailer that you're really excited about in the show. And so it's, who else are we going to see in this mini series of comics now?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing, though, right? Checkmate's essentially another like Suicide Squad team.
Yeah,
right?
so
seeing, they're setting up Checkmate here. Who's going to be in this
right
Checkmate? And then having, like you said, the triangle sign me up. You know, it's very
It's
interesting.
I know you haven't seen this movie, but Anchorman, there's a scene where all the different news stations are in a circle and it's a Mexican standoff. And I picture that and, you know, all these superheroes. I could see it in a James Gunn movie happening too, kind of thing, where all these characters, yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
That's exactly right. And of course, you know, I like that, you know, they really keep the feel of the show in the beginning with Jimmy and Lois trying to figure out how to make Clark have a good Christmas. It's like just throwing that in there in the beginning and then just instantly having it all go to shit is definitely par for the course for the show.
Yes,
that's for sure.
It feels very much like the show. You know, very much depending too is this issue too. Making it feel like the show, also kind of being like an episodic sort of feel there. You know, it's not like a direct cutoff where, you know, it's Bloodsport's here, end of issue, right?
Nope.
Superman vs. Bloodsport issue. No. It's an actual full-on story here that we get the issue instead of being a big reveal at the end and end. You know.
Yep.
So it's cool that it does very much keep the feel of like, you know, smaller tidbits of the show, right? You know, having like I don't know, season 1.5 almost as we're kind of getting here in the comic. So
absolutely,
I'm very much here for it. And like you said, if you're a fan of the show, I think you'd like this comic very much. So definitely go check it out. Go support your local comic store. You know.
Yeah, you have the physical copy. And then don't listen to the last page of the comic. If you want to read it, you didn't make a mistake. Although we think Clark has made a mistake.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes on with issue 2. Is a really good read. So, but yeah, couple other things that we do want to mention though. With this, something that I was surprised by was we got our first little snippet of DC's bringing back Elseworlds, and they're showing off a little bit here. You can see the first page of it, of them showing off the sequel to Gotham by Gaslight, titled The Kryptonian Age. So, I know you said you've watched a movie, and so it's interesting to see them bring in a kryptonite into this sort of world. I don't know too much about it. Like, I know the overall premise, but I don't know much more about the story itself. So it's interesting to see that they have brought that into it. As part and having DC's whole big initiative that they're doing here with bringing back Elseworlds, which is great. That's just one of the ones that I honestly might care the least for, just because I haven't read the other stuff at all. The first one, lots of stuff to read. I'll get to it eventually, but just wanted to share that as it's taking over DC Comics right now. I'm sharing around that, so go check that out. And if you want me to cover Gotham by Gaslight, let me know down below. Also, one other thing is that DC also did a little in memoriam for artist M.D. Bright. And M.D. Bright here is known for working on a bit of the 90s Green Lantern, also worked on Emerald Dawn 1 and 2. And so, just wanted to share this little memoriam to the late M.D. Bright, who helped make an impact with, there's some other titles, but definitely the biggest from what I could tell was with Green Lantern here as it's pictured. And so, nice to see DC include those nice little tidbits here, I think. And so, but there we have it. My Adventures with Superman, issue 1's completed. Thank you for watching, and where can the people find you at?
They can find me with you over at Red Shirts Remastered. We just did a podcast last night. We do Twitch a lot. And so make sure that you head on over there. And just like you should do here, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, and over on Twitch on Red Shirts Remastered, hit that follow button.
Yep. Go check us out on Red Shirts. I do some streams over there as well, and so lots of fun that we have over there, and I'll see you all next time here on the Dingus Den. Bye. Thank you for watching this video. Before you go, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video. See you next time here on the Dingus Den.